Hello, and welcome to another episode of Up Close and Personal with Angela. On behalf of Aspiring Authors Magazine, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you would, please take this opportunity to share this in your circle of influence. If you would, share it with somebody. You never know what the next person is standing in need of. For those that do not know who I am affectionately known as the Queen of Collaboration across these social media streets. I'm the founder of AALAC, which is the African American Author Literacy Awareness Campaign. I am also the CEO of Aspiring Authors Magazine, and my whole desire is to bridge the gap between brown authors all over this world and to touch on topics that's affecting my brown community that other people don't want to talk about. That stuff they brush under the rug, that stuff they try to keep from us. That's the stuff that I try to cover over here. So I welcome you. Please make yourself at home. If you've never followed me, please take a chance, go down and like and follow the page. I truly would appreciate it. And if you want to show some love, you can send a star. It don't hurt. But I want to welcome you guys. To another episode of Up Close and Personal with Angela. Y'all, we are on a mission over here at Aspiring Authors Magazine to showcase 122 authors from around the world, giving them an opportunity to showcase their brand so that you guys can get up close and personal with them. I don't know if you know, but I had experience about 5-6 years ago that made me want to really truly bring awareness to brown authors because I felt like we were not being represented as we should be represented. And at that time, I was not an author. Since then, I have published, co-published, co-authored, collaborated with over 50 projects. And people need to hear what we have to say. So I'm allowing individuals to share their voice across this platform. So please, y'all, take this opportunity to share this with someone while I bring up my special guest and allow her to introduce herself on today. Welcome. How are you, Queen?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, everyone.
How are
Good
you?
morning. Well, first of all, let me just say that I give honor to God. I always do that no matter what platform I'm coming on. I have to honor Him first and give Him the thanks and praise for allowing me to be here this morning with the Queen herself. My name is Teresa Stith. I am an author of faith. I write faith based books. Pretty much sharing things that have happened in my life and how I've gotten the victory over them. I'm on many of the major platforms. You can find me if you look for me, but that's what I love doing. I love motivating and inspiring people and building them up in the area of their faith.
Wow. I say you touching on one of my favorite words that was something that was dropped in my spirit. It's been about 4 or 5 months ago. That word faith. Um, by faith, I'm here. It is by
Yes,
faith that I am here. So I tell you, individuals need to truly understand that they can't just have faith, but they got to work that faith.
you got to do faith. Yes, yes, got to
But
do
I
it.
tell you, it was faith that brought us together because we connected a while back. And I was over just wandering over on, I think it was TikTok or it might have been Instagram. Everybody kept
Right.
saying, Miss Angela, you need to come on over here. You need to come on over here. So little old me went on over there. And I'm glad I did because I've had the opportunity to reconnect with some amazing
Yes.
people. And you have truly been one of those amazing people. I say, um, I saw somebody just coming on and showing me some love. She was sending up some gifts. I think it was a rose on one of the platforms. I can't remember which one it was, but I think it was a rose. And I was like, who was that? I said, somebody's showing little on me some love. I said, who is that? So I
It was
tell
the
you,
Lord.
we started conversating, and here we are. We are here. But I know this journey has not been easy. And I want you to share with the listeners today, to that person that may be tuned in that is aspiring to be an author, or just inspiring to go to the next level in whatever it is that they're doing, because it does not just have to be authorship, but whatever it is that they're aspiring to be. How did you get here today?
The burning question, Queen. Okay. Oh my God. My journey, and I'm going to try to keep a dry face as I tell you all how I got to this place. Okay. For me, I'll say it started when I was an officer. I used to work in the Department of Corrections, for those who don't know. And I worked in the department for over 20 years. But when I first started to work in the Department of Corrections, first of all, I didn't want to go. I did not want to go into the Department of Corrections, but my first lady came to me at that particular time and she said that God said, don't make him have to put a bit and bridle in your mouth to make you go the way that he wants you to go. And so I cried, because I didn't want to go that way because believe it or not, men was a weakness for me. I'm just gonna go on, we being real, right? And so I'm like, well, Lord, why are you throwing me out here to the wolves? And I cried. I cried because I did not want to go. So when I went, I wasn't afraid of anything that they may do to me or anything like that. I was afraid because my self esteem was so low, at that particular time in my life that, I was just afraid. I had failed at pretty much everything else in my life, and so I was afraid that I would fail at this too. So, going in and becoming an officer and, I was just hood, cursing, using this vulgar language and trying to be all hard and everything because that was my defense. That was the only thing that I had that I was really secure in, that I had to keep people from getting close to me because it seemed like everybody that I allowed to get close to me broke broke my heart, and so I had these defenses up, like, I'm not getting close to you, I don't want you, no, we don't have to be friends. And that's just how I was. But I had this one particular supervisor because I didn't have any structure or anything in my life. But when I tell you that this job, it produced some things in me, and I had to learn because, even though I was in church, I was still battling with, the things that I was experiencing in the world. And, it was hard for me to stay over here when is still some things over here that I desired, so the battle was real. But I had this one particular supervisor that, everybody else, pretty much wanted to throw me away because she just ratchet or whatever word they used. And I remember him telling my supervisor, one of the other supervisors, to give her to me. I would never, ever, ever forget that. And he said, give her to me. I'm going to work with her. And sure enough, he put me over in his cluster in one of the buildings and he began to teach me. And, and when I got a little ratchet on the job, because I went there, he would pull me in the office and he would talk to me, and he actually, began to build character in me that now the things that I didn't care about, I'm looking at it, and it is touching my heart and it's pricking me, in ways that, I'm not understanding, but okay, I'm liking this person that I'm becoming, so I'm this way over here in the world. So now when I go back to church, I just had to put them together. I had to put both of them together and then I had to become what I was hearing over here in the church. while I was on the job. And it was a battle for me in the beginning, but that's how it all started. That's how it all started.
I had muted myself because I ain't want no noise. But yeah, that's amazing. That is amazing. I look. How about
Queen, please. You got to take it easy on your
I
girl
was the same?
today.
Look, how about I was the same way though. I was the same way, and people used to tell people always used to want to. They always used to want me to be their project to because I used to be. Look, I was. If you knew my journey, if you knew my journey, I lost my mom 12 days after my 16th birthday. My dad really wasn't in my life. So, you build up a lot. You build up a lot of walls. You don't want to let people in. You don't, I mean, you
Yes,
have to build up your comfort zone and you build up. So there be times I remember walking around Morris
right.
Brown campus. I was an athlete. I played basketball. And I remember walking around that campus and I remember going to this one event with some Deltas. It was a sleepover. And I remember them girls saying they didn't know how to approach me because I looked like they I looked like I would bite their head off or I looked like I would snap. So they wouldn't speak to me. And I was like, well, how many other people look at me and say the same thing, but knowing that I would give you the shirt off my back. And when those girls said that to me that day, it just it did something to me, and it made me look at myself in a whole. And I'm like 20, 21, 22 then. Like I had to really look at myself. And sometimes we had to look at ourselves and be like, okay, do I want people looking at me like that? And them girls, they loved on me that night, and they really they sheltered me and loved on me and showed me what love was like. And when I walked back on that campus, I walked on there with a smile. I didn't have that nonchalant attitude. Like I wasn't bothered. Like I don't know what it was, but something that day, something turned around in my life. And ever since that day, it's just like little by little, I've been growing little by little, little
But
by little.
I'll say this, and you talk about aspiring authors, or not just authors, but whatever you're inspiring to do, you have to start where you are. And it's a word that I share with my group all the time, and that's that. The same day that you plant the seed is not the same day that you're going to eat the fruit. So it's a process of conditioning that you have to go through. And nobody wants to go through the process. Everybody wanted to take the popcorn, and we want to start eating it, but we don't want to take the time that it takes for the popcorn, that the pop. It's a process, that it got to go through, first. Because even as an officer, when I first started at that correctional facility, and you take your morals and your values and all these things that make up who you are, and you start there to develop this vision that you have that may be 5, 10, 15 years out. Because let me tell you, when I started to notice things about myself, because like I said, I was in there cursing, with the inmates, and who you talk about, who, mama, what? And so, but that's where I was. And so I was leaving the facility one day and I was going home. And I promise you that the Lord told me, listen, you can't act like them, and then expect them to give you some respect. There are tools that they gave you at this facility, that you have to use, in order to make the offenders comply. But you can't make them do anything if you out here acting like them. So that was the first thing, because like I said, I'm connected to the Lord, but I'm still connected to the world, because He's still teaching me, how to be a disciple of his, because I'm still in the flesh. I haven't grown to that state yet. So when the officers, when we got ready to leave for the evening and go home, then the office may be junky. Here I am, everybody like, come on, Mo, because my last name was Mosley at that particular time. And they was like, come on, Mo, we ready to go. And I said, well, y'all go ahead, because I got to sweep this floor, because I don't want nobody coming on shift behind us and looking at me like I'm dirty because we don't left the office like this.
Right.
So it was those little things, that I began to pay attention to, taking out the trash, the floor, people don't spill stuff on the floor. Here I am with the mop. And they telling me, well, the inmates can get that. No, let me mop the floor, sweep the floor. So sometimes aspiring authors or entrepreneurs or wherever you are in your journey, sometimes you have to serve and before you get up to the level where you're supervising other people. I had to learn at the bottom. Before I made supervisor, I had to learn how to lead from being an officer. So once the inmates saw the change in me, then guess what? They stopped calling on the supervisors. Now don't go to them. Go to Mo, because she gonna make sure you straight. So that's how I started to develop character. That's how even the inmates and even some of the other employees came to respect me, because they knew that I was going to do what I was supposed to do. Did everybody feel that way? No, because it's going to be people that's not going to like you, for whatever reason. But when you have that oil on your life, you got to go through what you got to go through. People not going to like you because it's something about you that, makes them uncomfortable. And what I found, even when I became a supervisor, and people just, like, I can't stand her. I just can't. It was hard. I may have put on a hard face, but your girl had a soft heart. And it was hard going through those seasons of transition, wondering why. Well, Lord, why they don't like me? Like, this is what you put on me. This is what you gave me to do. So no matter how hard it was, I had to stand up in it. I had to go behind the closed doors and I had to shed a tear, because I'm like, I know that this is not me, but I've been put in a position of leadership and I have to lead. And sometimes I had to do that with a heavy hand, with an unbending hand. But I had to do what I had to do to get to this place right here. So I had to be conditioned. So you too will have to go through a process of conditioning. Everybody is not going to like it. Some people going to fall off. They're not going to want to deal with you no more, but you have to keep your feet planted. You have to stay rooted and grounded in the things that God have called you to do. And regardless of what anybody else think about it, you have to become, period.
Wow, that's amazing. So, I know you are an author. What's your last project?
My last project is The Road That Leads to Freedom. But I'm currently about to publish my Press to Praise. But I'll tell you a little bit about The Road That Leads to Freedom. And it talks about finishing strong. And this book was birthed out of some things. Like I said, I had a first lady, and my first lady, taught us a lot about spiritual warfare and, a lot about, dealing with hard and challenging people and, and all of these things. And so this book is really a compilation of things that she taught us. And I was going through my papers because I just have, when you're an author, everything becomes about a book, you know, but you have to allow the Lord, listen, that's not a book. And God had to tell me so many times, because every piece of paper that I have in here, I promise you, I have to go through it and I have to scan it. and make sure that there's nothing valuable on there that I can use, before I throw it away. And that's just the mentality that I have, because I don't want to waste anything that he's given me. So everything is valuable to me. And so I was looking at these papers one day and I was like, First Lady taught us, let me put this in a book because this is some good stuff. And what it talks about forgiveness. It talks about childhood experiences, and it talks about what are those things that you dealt with in your childhood that you still wrestling with today, because we trying to get you free. So what is it? And I'll tell you that that's how a faith that works was born, because I was working at that same correctional center this particular day when the Lord came into the office. I promise you that I heard him and he said, leave. And and I have tried so many times not to tell the story because people like, what? Lord came in the office and told you to leave? What? People don't believe that,
Mm.
and so I'm like, what? I knew I was back there by myself, but just to be sure, I got up from my desk and I went into the break room area where much of the staff come when they go on break. And I said, now I thought I was back here by myself. And so I looked in the office, and sure enough, I mean, in the break room, and sure enough, nobody was in there. And so I was like, what? So I went back to doing my papers, grading my paper, signing off on my paperwork. And I heard the voice again, said, I told you to leave. And so I put the pen down and I'm like, Lord, okay, I'll do it like that. And so I went to, I came early enough the next day so that I could catch the human resource area office open, and I submitted my 2 weeks notice. And my human resource officer was like, Mo, you leaving? Like what? And I was like, yeah, I gotta leave. Some things came up because I didn't want to tell her the Lord came in my office and told me to leave. How she gonna look at me? And so she kept pressing me about it, like why? Why are you leaving? And I said, well, I just, I gotta go. And she was like, I said, listen, okay. I said, the Lord told me to leave. And she did just like this. She said, if the Lord told you to leave, it ain't nothing I can say about that. And so I left. And I promise you that the next 3 to 4 weeks I spent literally crying because I didn't know I had a good job. I had made lieutenant at that particular time at the facility. And I'm like, I just gave this out. Like, did I really just walk out? I got a brand new car out there that I just bought. And I gave all of it up because the Lord said, leave. And so I spent the next 3, 4 weeks crying, like, Lord, why? Like, what is it that you want from me? And I'm pacing the floors and I'm walking back and forth, looking out the windows, and I'm looking at people, you know, in the street, standing around the store like they had no hope. And it just broke my heart. So I was going to sleep this one particular day. I was in between being asleep and being awake. And I heard the Lord say, a faith that works. And I said, a faith that works? Like, what's that? He said, it's going to be worldwide. And, he started speaking some other things to me. And I just got a pen and started writing everything down. So next thing you know, I got a website that I tried to do myself. Got a website. I went on Facebook and I put it out there that, it's a faith-based page. And, I just couldn't believe the overwhelming response that I was getting from people, where I sure hope you can help me get my faith back on track. Where I know that this page didn't come to naught for nothing. Just these different messages, like people was waiting, for that because they had lost hope, and so I'm like, well, okay. So then I was working at this little security booth out in a field, y'all. Let me tell you, I don't gave up my job at the prison where I'm making all this money, and I'm out here in a field in the middle of nowhere in a little booth by myself. Because the Lord would listen. The children of Israel had to go through the wilderness. That's where your girl was. I was out there in the middle of a field by myself. And the Lord told me, He said, okay, He said, I'm going to cause you to remember things from your childhood. He said, when you remember them, I want you to write them down, and I want you to write down how they made you feel. And I'm like, okay. So, and then I took my mind off of it. But then, the next day I go out there, and then, I'm just sitting out there in the middle of a field, and I'm remembering things just like he said, and I'm crying, because the Lord is healing me. He's releasing me. Things that I did not know that I had tucked away in the back of my heart, God is now allowing it to resurface, because he says no way that you can go deeper in me and not address these things. I need you to look at it. All these years you've been trying not to look at it, but I need you to see this. And that's how the healing process began for me. So once I started to write everything down, and I looked, and I'm like, wait a minute, hold up, Lord. This is a book. Like, what? I still have the first drafts of this book, everything that I had to go through. But unbeknownst to me at that particular time, God was delivering me. He was freeing me, because up until that point, I didn't think faith worked. Won't nothing working for me. What? Faith? Well, faith that works. Where's working at? It must have skipped me. So, that's how a faith that works was birthed. It was birthed out of, you know, situations. And I'm trying to keep this as clean as I can. I know y'all can see I'm trying to keep from getting too into what I'm saying, but that's how it was birthed. It was birthed out of my pain, things that I held in my heart. Like I said, everybody that I allowed to get close to me, they just broke my heart. Like, Lord, why? Like, why? I had to go through it, and I had to endure it. It's still some things that I'm having to endure today. But, it's a song that says, for your glory, I'll do anything. And that's where I am. It's all for his glory. It's all about who he is. When we understand that it's all about him and not about us, we can run on a little bit further. Queen, I'm
Uh,
not messing with you.
like I'm over here, like I just I'm over here in tears. Like I'm sitting here, like I went through the same process. Like I had to go through that. Like I remember that. I'm sitting here, like we have to deal with those things so that we can move. And I'm telling you, when you say you block, when we block stuff out, we carry stuff that we don't remember. We don't remember happen because we block it out, and it gets so deep back there that it's like it never happened. Like I had to deal with some stuff like that. Like I feel you, and I'm grateful for you on today and the people that you're gonna be impacting with that, because I'm
But
telling you.
the Lord told me, because one day I had went into prayer, and I think I had shared with my audience, if they're listening, the Lord wakes me up, really, really early in the morning, and I go in and anoint my head, and wash my face, anoint my head, and I make my prayer. And so this one particular day, because sometimes we just want to put up this facade, and like you said, we talk faith, but who is it that's gonna do the work? When I left Virginia, the Lord told me to do faith. That's all he said to me. Because I asked him, could I leave? Everybody think I just ran out. You had people thinking I ran out here behind a man. What? I wish I had one out here. But people gonna say what they want to say anyway. But I asked the Lord, could I move? Because at the end of the day, I said, Lord, my children are grown. I'm not attached to anybody. I want to move. I want to move. And I asked him. And even after he opened the door up for me, because when I told him where I wanted to move to, then I started looking for the job. I did faith. I did what I was supposed to do. After I asked God, I took the action and I started looking for jobs. And I started, because I said, this is where I want to go. But not just that, I started to pack my stuff. That was faith because I didn't know whether he was going to say yay or nay. But I was packing my things because it was time for me. I wanted to move. Okay. So, when the Lord opened the door, and it was just amazing. I can't even explain it to you all, but like I knew the door was open. I knew that okay, it's time for you to go. And I knew that God had this door open for a certain amount of time, and that if I was going through it, I needed to get gone. I didn't have time to say a lot of goodbyes. Sorry, y'all. I did not have time for all that. I had to go. And that's what I did. But he told me to do faith because I was working on another book at that particular time. And the Lord made me stop that book. And he said, I want you to start on this one. And so I'm currently working on that book too. So, but anyway, one day when I was making my prayer before the Lord, he said, I see what's in your heart. And he said, it can't stay there, right? Because like you said, we think we're hiding things and we may do a good job at hiding it from folks, but God, he sees it all. And like you said, in order to advance to the next level, it's got to come out. You got to be free. How you want to tell anybody how to get free and you still bound up? You got to let that stuff out. You got to let it go. It's a road. It's a road. It's a road
Come
that
on
leads
now.
to freedom. And you have to be willing to walk the road no matter how painful it is. You got to be willing. You got to get out of you. Because remember, it's not about you. It's about who he is in you.
Wow, you gonna drop some powerful nuggets. I've been posting your different links, but if you would share with individuals how they can follow and support the things that you're doing, I definitely would love for individuals to be able to connect with your group and be able to tap into some of these faith nuggets because I tell you, I've been really talking about faith on my page. So those that are tuning in on my page, they know that this is on point. They know that this is in alignment with what we've been flowing with, and I'm grateful for you. He dropped that word faith in my spirit, broke it down letter for letter, and
Yes.
it's by faith. I'm actually working on a book myself. It's going to be an anthology, and it's entitled Faith. That's just it, just
Yes.
faith, and it's by faith that I got here. It's not by chance. It's by faith, and I just had to do the work. So we over here. A lot of us, some of us doing work, but is it the work that He's called you to do? A lot
Yes.
of us
Yes.
out here
Yes.
working, but we're not doing the work that He's called us to do. And then the work that He's called us to do, some of us don't even believe in the work that He's called us to do. So are you working the faith? Are you
Yes.
working the faith? I'm telling you that you all up in there today.
That's good.
You all in there today. So I definitely want individuals to be able to support you and to be able to connect with you. So please tell them how they can do that.
Yes, you all can visit me on my website at afaiththatworks.com, or you can visit me on Facebook. It's so many different platforms on there. A Faith That Works, Faith It to Make It. And that group is where God gets really personal with me. Even though A Faith That Works is where I started, this group, Faith It to Make It, God gets really personal with me. And so I bring what he gives me to you because I realize that people are dealing with personal issues out here. You got people out here that don't even have a history of mental health, dealing with mental health issues, and something that the Lord shared with me just the other day is that if the righteous scarcely make it in, listen, y'all better come on here. then what are you going to do if you're not even connected to him? I've lost so many friends of mine behind, mental health, that nobody knew they had mental health, suicide and different things that people go through because you keeping this stuff inside, for whatever reason, whether it's pride or you don't want nobody to know what you're going through. Listen, you got to let me let y'all know right now. If you ever experience anything like that, hit my inbox, please. Please, I am making it known right now that you do not have to suffer through these things alone. But if I'm in Christ and I'm suffering through these things, what are you gonna do? Because I know where my help come from. I know what my foundation is. But if you're not in Christ and you're suffering with this, what are you gonna do? The enemy will drive you to take your own life because you don't have a foundation in Christ that you can stand on. So please connect with me. I'm here. You can find me on TikTok, Teresa Stiff 436, LinkedIn, Teresa Stiff, um, author, writer, publisher, Teresa Stiff, Faith It to Make It Too. I'm all over the place. I'm everywhere. And then Teresa Stiff by herself, connect with me. I don't care how you have it, even if you just want prayer, I'll pray with you. I don't care what it is. Before you sit there and go through these things that you're dealing with by yourself, reach out to somebody, please.
Wow.
And let me tell you before I get off, I know I told y'all about a faith that works, and that was pretty much where I didn't think that faith was working. I talk about overcoming obstacles in that book. So if you're dealing with any kind of obstacles, listen, we have to remember that God is bigger than anything that we will ever go through in life. Just because we don't have the faith, don't mean that He's not God. He's still God, whether you believe it or not. It's not going to change. And then this book, The Real Purpose Behind the Hat, this book where I was trying to find out, Lord, what is my purpose? What did you call me to do? And you know what the Lord said to me? You're already doing the thing that I called you to do. I was already out there speaking life into folks before I even realized I'm looking for this great off the wall thing that I think my purpose is. And the Lord said, you already doing it. You already doing it. And because I knew that I was already doing it, hey, I started living like I know. I started living like I know, because now the Lord is building up my confidence in Him. So I'm living this thing out, walk by faith and not by sight, right? So I'm stepping. I went all the way up to Atlanta, Georgia to talk about this book, about step, you know. And sometimes in the process of stepping, you got to die, you know. I had to die, y'all. I had to die to some stuff. I'm living because I died to some things. And then I said, Lord, okay, Lord, where my husband at? Where he at? Where he at? And I've been prophesied to so many times that he sees me, that he's been watching you. So let me say to him, if he's watching me, I need you to get in place, please. Thank you. And then last but not least, the road that leads to freedom. I have so many other titles that, like I said, I'm about to publish number 7 and 8, and that's my press to praise. And then I have advancing the kingdom of God. And then I have a pre-release coming up, from distraction to destruction to deliverance. And in that book, I'm going to share with you all my bout with domestic violence and lust and all the listen. Your girl was distracted, and almost destroyed. I had to go through a period of destruction, but God delivered me through it all. So reach out to your girl.
Wow. Look, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you a part of the 122 authors around the world campaign. It's just amazing. You just don't realize how much we have in common. I am a May 7th would be 9 year survivor of domestic violence. I was shot point blank range with a sawed off shotgun. I shouldn't be here,
Woo,
and it's by faith. It's by
by
faith that
faith,
I'm here.
yes.
So I'm grateful because I tell you the day I woke up and I saw the doctor standing over my dad, talking to my dad, telling my dad that if I walk,
Wow.
it may be months, but the God that I serve, see,
Mm.
people, I'm telling people don't know the power of prayer. The God that I serve, I'm telling you, it was probably about 3 hours later. Physical therapy come rolling down the hall with a walker and asked me if I wanted to walk. I had been wiggling my toes all day, so I knew I had feeling in my. So they got me up, and I went walking down the hall, and the nurses was looking at me like, "Where is she going?" 3 days later, I walked up out of that hospital, and I didn't go to no physical therapy or no occupational therapy. I know the God that I serve
Woo.
by faith. I thank you for stopping by and sharing with us on today. I tell you, I have truly been blessed. I know that someone that has tuned in has been blessed. I know that as they hear this replay and as they share this, they're going to be blessed. I look forward to connecting with you, and I look forward to seeing you in Atlanta at the Achi Magazine Awards. I look
Yes,
forward to seeing you.
ma'am.
So I get to meet you in person. So I look forward to that. I tell you, it truly has been an honor. I just want you to continue to allow your voice to speak because there are so many people that's waiting to hear you.
Amen. And let me leave you all with this. They that are with us are more than they that are against us. So whatever vision that God have given you, keep pushing forward. Keep moving forward.
Amen. Amen. Thank you for stopping by. Have a great rest of your day.
Bless you all.
Thank you. I want to thank you guys for tuning in for another episode of Up Close and Personal with Angela on behalf of Aspiring Authors Magazine. Again, if you're not following the page, I want you to go over, like, and follow the page so that you can stay connected with these amazing authors that come across the platform. Y'all know my mission for 2023 is to showcase and highlight each and every one of these 122 authors. It is my mission and it is my goal. It is a mandate that I'm carrying in 2023. So I look forward to sharing her some more in these other amazing authors. If you're not connected to the movement, get connected. I am the queen of collaborations, and guess what? I love you guys, and ain't nothing you can do about it. I'll see you guys this evening for my next interview.